Hello and welcome to the DSP Project, your weekly fix of music production and technology. I'm your host Rupert Brown, and this week we are reviewing the Sonnox Supresser. It is not just a De-Esser but also a dynamic EQ as well. So let's take a closer look. We're going to work with a vocal from La Medusa again. It's probably the most sibilant thing I could find. It sounds like this.
Let's just say, oh please, let me stay.
So as you can see, the S's kind of sizzle through there. There's actually 3 versions of the plugin. One is the sort of standard one we're going to be using today, which is fine for de-essing duties. There's one with a larger buffer size, which is you're required for more accuracy when working in the low end, and then there's one which is a shorter one if you want less delay coming from the plugin. So quickly walking through, we've got the input monitor side on the left, which shows us obviously how much level we've got coming in where we can trim it. We can listen to the entire mix, what's just inside our band of frequencies that we're controlling, and then what's just outside the band of frequencies that we're controlling. This controls the filter options down the bottom here, so we can set the width of the filter and the slope. Obviously we want a nice sharp slope for de-essing duties, and the frequency here, which you can also see is controlled by this nice slider. Now one of the nice things is you get lots of visual feedback, so it's very easy to sort of quickly channel in on where the S is and sort of start doing something about it. So if we start playing something, you'll get to see we've got like a spectrum analyzer in the background.
Let's just say, oh please, let me stay.
So another thing to note, there's a few bits going on here. You'll see this one red vertical line come up that shows us the loudest peak point inside of our filter band there, which is really important. And also the red pushing down visually shows us the amount of gain reduction that's been done inside of that band. So I'll just carry on.
Let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say.
So it's already starting to do a good job just straight out of the bat like that, and I've basically done nothing, and it's already working. We'll just bring it in and out so you can hear the difference that it's making.
Let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say, oh please.
So already an improvement there. You've also got this more button here to access more parameters. Now I don't think that this is really necessary for de-essing duties, but when you start getting into dynamic EQ territory, you want to do a bit more with it. This is where these controls come into play. So first of all, we've got mode. We've got band and wide for the trigger, and basically what that means is rather than the threshold normally is inside of this band, the threshold is triggered by the entire frequency spectrum. And the same goes for the audio, is where the compression's applied. So if we've got on band, it's only applying compression to inside of the band, whereas if we have it set to wide, it's compressing all the frequencies. So if you have the trigger and the audio both set to wide, it's now behaving basically like a standard compressor would. The level tracking is quite a good little trick as well. You'll notice that the threshold line sort of moves up and down as the quieter and louder passages of the audio go through. So I'll just play it now.
Let's just say,
you see this line here shows us our threshold.
Let me stay.
So if it's going to be a lot more dramatic, obviously, if you have like a soft passage and then a loud chorus. But basically, it takes the level of the rest of the material into consideration, so that if you have an S in a quiet period, it brings the threshold down so that S is that part, and opposed to, again, in the chorus where it's a lot louder, then the threshold moves up, and so it sort of dynamically changes where it is, so that you don't need to adjust it for different energy levels in the different parts of the song, which is really clever. Moving over, we've got the attack, hold and release standard sort of compression settings, which again on de-essing duties I think you want to have a sharp attack, little hold and a quick release, because again you want it to just snap in and out on the S. But when you start wanting to use it more as a dynamic EQ, that's when you're probably going to want access to those parameters here. So I'm going to pop these away because we don't really need them for the rest of this demonstration. Threshold here obviously is going to affect how much it's going to push down on that S. So if we start moving this to more extremes.
Let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say.
So obviously you can start, you're definitely getting sort of artifacts for that from that now, pushing that hard down on it. And then the output stage here, you've got a wet dry control and then a trim, so you can adjust the volume going out. So let's just carry on with this and see if I can get a little bit tighter. Another cool thing is, sorry, you can actually zoom in and out, so you can really get close.
Let's just say, oh please.
And let's adjust the width of the band.
Oh, let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say, oh please, let me stay a while. Let's just say, oh please.
So you can see there we're just taking a very tight band, and it's a very nice, clean, transparent way. It gets rid of a bit of that nastiness in the S, but there's not really much of a footprint on the audio as a result of that. So quite impressive, really. As you can hear, this gives some very professional results. I was really impressed at what a transparent job it does of de-essing, especially compared to homebrew techniques I've tried in the past, including really sharp EQ adjustments, but that obviously leaves quite a footprint on the sound, or using a compressor with a sidechain input and then EQing the sidechain input to just the S frequency, so that only when that S frequency is really hit does it sort of hit the threshold on the compressor, which pushes the mix down. But even doing that, it's a full band compressor, so it's pushing the whole frequency down, as opposed to how the Supresser is just pushing the treble frequency down. So it basically walks all over any of those sort of those techniques for de-essing. The only thing I've seen that comes close is something like a Weiss DS1 De-Esser, like what's used at fluid mastering, and that's a very expensive piece of hardware. So in comparison, the Sonnox Supresser comes in at about £180. So if you need a serious professional plug-in de-esser, then I think this is definitely got to be on your short list. I couldn't really fault it, to be honest. As well as being a dynamic EQ, of course, you can do a lot more than just de-essing with it as well. That has been my review of the Sonnox Supresser. That has been it for this week, though. I will see you next week.